Now, will my next patient come
Hey, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're gonna be jumping into another session of Epic 7 Out today. Got some more first impressions for you guys. That's right, we're gonna be jumping straight into this here with ML Yulha finally getting revealed. I know when she was first teased, everyone looked at her and was like, is this like a Yuna or something? Her art definitely doesn't really look like Yulha's, but it's undeniable that when she pulls out the defibrillators and she has that crazy look in her eye, just right about now, that is indeed Yulha. But it seems like she is going to be connected to Lua, actually, Lua being her niece, which is very cool. But you would look at this nurse and you would think, oh, well, she's using a dagger, she's a thief. And you would be right. School nurse Yulha here is a dark elemental thief of the Cancer star sign, and she actually does have quite a bit of attack as well as HP. Thieves, even though most of them are usually built with really low health pools, do actually have quite a considerable amount of health, especially for this star sign, which we'll get into in just a second. She does also have a team imprint for her HP, as well as a self imprint for effectiveness. So going ahead and taking a look at our game here, this is normally where I'd show you a thief that also carries the same star sign as the featured unit, but as I scroll through, you're going to realize that there is actually not really a thief that's in the game that has the Cancer star sign. I guess this is just going to be a little bit of a teaser as to what's to come when we take a look at Yulha's kit, but yeah, I'm scrolling through here and there's not a single one for us to really compare to. It's gonna make looking at builds on her a little bit tricky, but we're gonna manage that when we get there. So let's go ahead and take a look at her skills, starting off with her skill 2, her passive there. You'll feel better. At the start of the first battle, you increase attack proportional to max health. This is just like Fire Ravi's passive, right? Where you build her with a ton of HP and you get attack as a little bit of bonus for stacking HP as high as possible. Then, at the start of an ally's turn, dispels one debuff from the target and recovers health proportional to the caster's max health. So this is actually really nice as well because it allows your units to essentially kind of self-cleanse, right? Every time a unit takes a turn, you'll be able to dispel a debuff from that unit, and they also just heal themselves as well. So the faster your units are, the faster you can actually legitimately turn cycle out of debuffs. Which is a pretty unique skill to have. Her skill 3, it's time to be reborn. Yulha will dispel all debuffs from an ally except for the caster before fully recovering health. Grants superhumanization to the target for 3 turns and increases combat readiness by 50%. When the target is already dead, revives them with 100% health before the same effect is applied. This skill is unaffected by cooldown increase and decrease effects. Now here we go, guys. This is the skill that makes Yulha incredibly dumb. Let's break this down. Not only is this a full cleanse and a full heal, right? She also gets essentially the same effect as Ruel. Even if an ally is dead, you can revive them with a full heal. They're gonna come back with full health. Not a partial like May Chloe or whatever, full heal. And then you get this unique effect that you cannot dispel, superhumanization. This buff increases your target's max health and speed by 100%. What that means is it literally doubles your character's max health and their speed. So if you had a 30k HP unit, which is pretty common nowadays with all the knights and stuff running around, they're gonna be 60k HP, and if they were like 200 speed, no, they're 400 speed now, right? This is absolutely bonkers, and honestly, I have no idea what Smallgate was smoking when they decided to make this skill, but this is definitely gonna be the skill that you want to be using on Yulha as much as possible. And we'll get to ways that you can kind of stack this skill potentially with some RNG, but this does have a 4-turn cooldown if you get the max skill enhancements here, which means you won't have 100% uptime on this skill, which is good, but we'll talk about how you can maybe cheese that out in just a second. Skill 1, Missile Sting, attacks the enemy with a scalpel with a 65% chance each to inflict 2 bleeding effects for 2 turns. You can get this skill enhancement to get up to a 80% chance to inflict bleed, which is not too shabby. At the end of the turn, detonates bleeding effects inflicted on the target. Now this is where bleed can potentially come in handy. The RTA frenzy mechanic that's in place, right, that increases burn and bleed damage by 50%. This is the type of stuff that you need to see for bleed to actually be worth using in PvP. But as it stands right here, there's not too much RNG involved with landing the bleeds, especially because you can just use 10 souls to soul burn to attack again with the same skill. Now, notice how they were very clever with this soul burn here. They didn't actually grant her an extra turn. This just grants an extra attack. It's kind of like Dust Devil, right? In that you just activate the skill again. It doesn't allow you to really turn cycle your cooldowns, and that's on purpose. It's to allow the opponent to not die immediately by having to fight 2 superhumanized units. So that's not bad. So guys, Yulha right here, she is going to be available for summoning starting on November 20th, which means we still have a little bit of time to breathe, and we can close out the RTA season without her impacting anything, which is very nice. The RTA season ends in less than 2 weeks, right? So, what about this unit is insane? The fact that she can double someone's health is the main part of it. So let's first jump to the artifact breakdown, and then we'll jump into some potential teammates that you can run alongside potential gears that you can put on her. Alright guys, so moving on here into the artifacts. When we talk about the best in slot artifact, the first thing that really comes to mind, honestly, is going to be Master of the Nightmare. This thing is limited right now, and it is purchasable through the powder shop, so I just snagged myself one, just in case. It's always good to have these types of artifacts on hand. Now you're going to see that when you take this artifact and you reach plus 15 with it, you actually increase your attack by 15%. Pretty good, because bleed effects do scale with attack stats, which is why Yulha does scale her attack with her HP, and this extra attack is definitely going to help in the long run for just dealing damage, right? The other great thing about it is at plus 15, you have a 30% chance to be granted an extra turn when you use a basic attack. Now, when Yulha doesn't use her S3, the only other skill you can actively use is going to be her skill 1, her basic attack, right? And you might be thinking, well, doesn't RNL essentially give you like the same bonus? RNL is very, very similar, but it is not quite as good. So RNL does give the attack 10%, a little bit lower than the Nightmare one from earlier, but at almost plus 30, you will get 20%, right? So you have to max Limit Break RNL to get a 20% chance to get an extra turn at the end of the turn. This is just not as good. It is really good in general on units who have already like abilities that give them extra turns. Ron going from S2, take an extra turn. It's just an extra chance to proc RNL during that time. It's why it was so prominent, so popular on things like Peyra and Ron and such back in the day, where our extra turn thieves were, incredibly strong. So Master of the Nightmare here is objectively just better and more synergistic with her entire kit, and now I guess we understand why they released it. Other alternatives for this, if you don't have something that gets you extra turns, right? Like if you don't have RNL and you missed out on Master of the Nightmare, maybe you're watching this video a little bit later into the future where it's not accessible anymore, then things that you can use are just very generic stuff that keeps her alive, because she is a thief. She does have decent artifacts that are available to her, like evasion ones, right? But you can also just go for really generic things, such as Proof of Valor. Proof of Valor is great for for just damage reduction in general, keeping her alive. Even though she is a thief and she does deal damage, she basically has a skill 3 that's like Ruel. She's like a Soul Weaver, and you definitely want to keep your Soul Weavers alive. So Proof of Valor is a decent thing to use. If she's more of a supporting character and you just want to turn cycle her, kind of like get that combat readiness going to take extra turns to reduce her cooldowns, Warhorn is also pretty good. Keep in mind you cannot actually reduce, like forcibly reduce or increase her skill cooldowns here. So when it comes to artifacts, you cannot use things like Prophetic Candlestick to decrease her skill cooldowns, right? Prophetic Candlestick is one that's really popular on Ruel right now, and it's every time you get hit, you have a % chance to right here, you have a % chance to reduce your cooldown by 1 turn, but yeah, I think they kind of foresaw that being stacked with Yulha, and they really didn't want that to be a thing. For the health of the game, thank you, Smilegate. I still have no idea what they were thinking, allowing Yulha to double a unit's HP and their speed, but here we are. If you wanted her to be more of a supporting role, if you wanted just more debuffs, Alabastron is actually not that bad. If you wanted to build some effectiveness on her, this gives some stats right here, but on a single target attack, which is her skill 1, you can inflict a bunch of cool things like decrease attack, decrease defense, decrease speed, or unhealable. So 3 out of the 4 debuffs are really strong here. But yeah, aside from that, if you want combat readiness gains, Secret Art Storm Sword is also going to be an option for you. If your opponent uses a non-attack skill, this is kind of like using Soul Constellation on a Soul Weaver, right? You can maybe jump up in combat readiness and take a turn and stuff. The attack is not going to be wasted because you do benefit from bleed effects, which scale off of attack. So yeah, overall is not a terrible artifact to use, especially if your opponent uses non-attack skills quite often, because this can be procced once per turn and it can turn cycle her quite quickly. So I don't think it's that bad, honestly. But yeah, other than that though, I think it's just generic thief artifacts that you can use for evasion, maybe some extra things that give you some attack and stuff. But let me know if you think a artifact out there is just gonna be really, really nice on her. I just don't think there's anything that can top the Nightmare artifact. So for right now, I'm hedging my bets on that being the most common one that is gonna be used on her. So moving on here, when it comes to equipment that we can use on School Nurse Yulha, I can't actually show you the stats that you could potentially reach because there's literally not a single thief unit in the game that has the Cancer star sign. Yulha definitely going to be contributing to the overall Cancer of the game though, with her skill kit. With that, we can still talk about potential sets that you could run on her, and that is definitely going to start off with a potential speed set. Right? School Nurse Yulha does have 115 base speed, which is not great, but it's not like terrible. It's very middling, right? And it's not really fast enough where you're going to be taking first turn, at least not in this meta. For comparison, I believe Faithless Lytica has like 114 base speed, and she is way outdated as an opener, and it's really difficult to get her over 300 speed, right? So you're not going to be building like a super fast Yulha, not that you need to, or anyone was considering it, but speed set definitely still good for helping her turn cycle and take turns. Now, I wouldn't necessarily build her on damage, so you don't necessarily want to stack like attack or anything like that. She doesn't need sets like lifesteal or counter or any of the other 4 set pieces. I think you can get away with something like a revenge set. If you have really good revenge set pieces, like the lower her health goes, the faster she's gonna go, and you can maybe clutch out some turn cycling shenanigans where you can lap your opponent and revive a teammate and then have them be an absolute monster, right? So that's pretty cool. But yeah, aside from those two here, I don't really see anything else coming into play. Now, for 2 set pieces, those are actually pretty decent. HP set, obviously, to raise her max health. It gives her more attack overall, it increases her healing potential overall. This is all fantastic for her to have. You don't need crit on her, so definitely don't go for like crit set, definitely don't need destruction set either. And it really depends on if you're going for like a supporty debuffer. I can see some people maybe doing that, so a hit set could be alright. but in general, I guess the most value you're going to get from this is going to be HP. HP is going to give you literally more health, but also give you more attack, and also give you just more staying power on the field. And I can also see some people running immunity set on her as well, right? But aside from that, she is pretty straightforward to build here, I'd say. I'd say most people are probably going to go for a speed set, HP set. You can go for speed immunity if you feel like you're a bit vulnerable, you're a bit slow, and that you can get sealed and stuff from your opponent. But yeah, other than that though, guys, if you want to see a full-on build of her, you're going to have to wait until we get to pull her. Then I get to showcase a build and then show her off in some PvP action. So if you don't want to miss out on that, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Be one of the first ones to see that video when it goes live. Now, when it comes to potential teammates that you can run, obviously, Knights come to mind first. Bellion with 3F, gonna be absolutely disgusting. Any Knight with 3F, actually, where you get to inflict extra damage proportional to your max health on the target. Yeah, count me in for this. Undispellable on a 0-speed Bellion with tons of resistance that your opponent can't help but attack into. That also has a counter set that's also gonna have like 50 plus KHP. It's ridiculous, and definitely something to be very scared of. You can have Dragon Bride Senyas, where this Dragon Bride Senya right here, with not the best piece, I'm literally running purple gears here, you can double this and get her to almost 80,000 HP. It's insane. Genesis Raz, just be able to double his speed, but also double his HP pool. Over 50k HP on Genesis Raz, almost 60k in this case, right? Especially with a Precious Connection helping out with the 10% health here. This guy is going to be dealing damage through the roof. Your units are not going to survive a S3 from a 60k HP Genesis Raz, let me tell you guys that. You thought Boss Arunka was hard to kill? Just wait until you literally double her HP pool as well, and just have her sit there and not care about what you're throwing at her. Empyrean Ilanovs, I'm already running into some with like 38k HP. Imagine not being able to defense penetrate a unit that has almost 80,000 HP just sitting on the other side. It is gonna be ridiculous, guys. Any units, like such as Last Rider Crowd's an example here, who scale their buffs like barriers proportional to their max health, guys, is not just going to be this one unit that has a ton of HP now. Everybody is going to have a ginormous barrier. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous, right? Put this on any damage mitigation unit like a Crimson Armin, and it is going to be very difficult to kill. Now, not only that, but you do have very bulky and annoying units that aren't Knights. For example, Setsuka. You can double a Setsuka's HP, get her to like 50, 60k health. I have seen ones that have way more HP than I do, and she becomes an absolute monster, right? You can also have units that normally would be really squishy, but you can make them very tanky. For example, Fern is another unit that came to mind. Fern already has the ability to gain focus, and her focus gives her 15% extra speed and then extra evasion, right? So not only are you giving this ridiculous unit a ton of speed, right? That's 75% speed plus the 100% speed on top of that. But you're also giving this thing double the HP. You have a 20k HP Fern that has 100% evasion that's going to be countering you at 70% of the time that you hit her to regain the focus. She's going to be going so fast, she's going to zoom. Like, you thought Rinok was going to be fast? No. Fern gonna be even faster. What a speed demon she's gonna be. Now, speaking of Rinok, Rinok is another unit that can very much benefit from the buff, right? The superhumanization or whatever it is. The S2 here allows you to inflict Pilfer, where you steal 20% of your opponent's stats. And you can have a very tanky Rinok. There's so many games where I end with Rinok being like 24, 25k HP. Now, the way HP scaling doesn't work exactly as you might think. It's not all going to stack like and take that 24k HP and then you double it. It's actually going to double, I believe, her base health here without the stacking of spoils from her S2. But even then, imagine a 30k HP Rinok who's stolen more of your stats. So she's sitting at like 40 plus KHP and you can't kill her, and she's super fast. She's gonna be like 600 speed, just lapping you like crazy. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous, right? It's gonna be insane. There are so many more units that are out there, but I definitely don't want to spend like 10 minutes just showcasing literally every possible unit that you can use. 26, 27 KHP Afternoon Soak Flan, guys. Anybody? This thing just staring at you, it's gonna be nasty, and I really do wonder how the meta is gonna shape up to kind of deal with that, especially like with extinction being kind of difficult to come by. Like, yes, you can say, oh, but you got like bystander Hua Young. Guys, no matter how much I love my bystander Hua Young, no matter what kind of gear I give her, she's not one-shotting like an 80 KHP Empyrean Ilanov. There's just no way, right? Couple that with the revives that Yulha can give to the team, with other reviving units like Maid Chloe or Ruel or even Spirit Eye Celine. I mean, guys, come on. Maid Chloe with a full team revive and defense buff, right? You have Ruel with a invincibility and a damage limit buff as well, if I can even find my Ruel. I don't know why they keep putting that filter on. But yeah, with this Ruel right here, just imagine doubling this Ruel's and speed and making her lap so that she can revive somebody else and bring them back. It's ridiculous, right? And Ruel also is able to run Prophetic Candlestick, which I'm so glad that Yulha is not able to. Otherwise, it would just be nonsense. I can see this artifact legitimately just getting nerfed if that ever were to be a thing. But yeah, Spirit Eye Celine, like I was mentioning, other units that revive, right? Spirit Eye Celine gonna be so good with that. Yeah, doubling her health is also going to be fine. It actually makes her less vulnerable to getting absolutely obliterated by any form of little chip damage or splash damage. Now, you're obviously, you know, not going to be healing a whole ton, but, and her, what is it, her passive is going to be harder to kick into effect, right? At a low HP, you can take 4,000 damage or whatever and mitigate the rest of it, but at a higher HP, you're going to be taking more damage, but that's still fine. You have a very healthy Spirit Eye Celine that can still revive. You get extra speed, you can lap your opponents. It's just ridiculous and nutty. But yeah, let me know what your hypothetical, in theory, best unit to pair with Yulha is going to be. I'd love to hear in the comments down below. Dark Corvus is one that I can definitely see people going to Guild Wars and absolutely cheesing things with this guy, guys. Yeah, you could build like an 80 KHP Dark Corvus and it's not even funny, and I cannot wait to see people try that. But yeah, anyway, with that being said though, guys, that is my overall thoughts on Yulha. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Look at that, we're almost there. Run Sweet Miracle on him and you're good to go. But yeah, until next time, take care.